All right, hi. I'm just like quickly checking if everything's all right because I'm streaming after a good while. I think yep, this is the right one. That's irrelevant. Hey Rafal, hey Priyanshu, how you doing? So yeah, I was just seeing what we need to do today on stream. Can you tell roadmap? Oh yeah, we'll come on to a lot of these things. I was just checking up on these things. I've got chat on one screen, like so many bajillion other things on other. Oh wait, where did that? Did I close that tweet? I'm just opening up the questions I got, just so that I don't miss them. Okay, so these were the ones. Okay, yeah. Well, okay, that's good. Because I was like really concerned if everything would work as expected or not. And it was like really weird, kind of trying to get everything set up. Anyways, okay, so I have this set up already. Okay, so what I have set up right now, let me just increase everything so everyone can see what's happening. So what essentially I have set up right now is my Next.js boilerplate. By the way, all of the links are in the description. Hey Nikhil, how you doing? So yeah, like all of the links are in the description to all the boilerplates, all of those things. So you can just clone this, run npm install, and good to go. Another thing is it comes with like a setup, so you can go through the entire thing, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, everything else. You also have an example env file set up for you, so you can just like beep bop and start at it. I'm just quickly gonna start an ngrok server. So one of my issues with like streaming right now is because there's like a lot of keys and everything else being thrown around. I do not want to leak any of this because I know it can get like very patchy. Given these are like keys that I do not want to be out. Hey Liam, how you doing? I'm giving an update URL. So again, like everything's set up for you when it comes to the boilerplate. So there's like updating URLs. So like this one, let's go to env. I have things already set up, so I don't have to open a bajillion things over and over again, and it doesn't work. Oh yeah, wait, sorry, my bad. npm run dev. Okay, so we just ran updating URL, and now the server started. But then again, I haven't started up the database server, so that's gonna break. So yeah, so like all of the URLs are updated automatically. You don't have to do anything. It just like throw in your things and it starts working. Let's create npm pg start. This should start it. np express my db push. Generate. By the way, what I just did was, if you head over to package.json, you will see that I have a lot of these scripts already set up for database. So all I did was run pg create and then run pg start. So what it did was it created this new folder called database. This is already git ignored, and it started a Postgres server. So if you head over to schema, this is set up by default with Postgre. But if you want to switch it over to MySQL, all you have to do is add db.text here. So you can just do this and change your provider to MySQL. And you're good to go if it comes to MySQL databases. But we are using Postgre right now, so I'm not really worried on that. Anyways, so that's done. I usually kill and start my server, so that's running npm run dev. Again, these strings are something that's already in it for you. All I've done is just like pre-populated it, so I don't have to like do this on stream. Install the app, and by default, this boilerplate specifically, it comes with a lot of things just out of the box. So you have debug cards, you have the app uninstalled, webhook kind of being processed, which you get over here. I hope that's visible to everyone. And then in the debug cards, you have a lot of these things, so you can see how webhooks are working. I need to implement SWR here. Okay, so this makes a webhook call via GraphQL. When it comes to data fetching, you have examples to a get post and a GraphQL request. In the billing API, you can actually like run through a subscription. I don't want to like do that right now. And of course, then you have some dev notes. Again, like the entire repository is built in a way where you have everything available and all of the examples are just like right there. So that just kind of makes building easier, right? So yeah, let's just like quickly hop on to questions I got, because I feel like I should probably run on to that. And I hope those people are here, because if they are not, that's like an issue. Okay, so I'm just going to open up on Twitter and show the questions. So one of the questions was, let's make it a little bigger. Yeah, so one is, how do you add modify protected data for public apps based on action done by a visitor on storefront? So for example, I want to create a customer in Shopify by collecting their emails from pop-up on storefront. So this is a very straightforward thing. I feel like where most people get stuck is making a GraphQL call from your app proxy, because what's going to happen is the app proxy doesn't have all of the stuff that you need by default to load up a GraphQL client, which is where a lot of people run into errors with. So let's just actually create this. Where is my, okay, by the way, I'm in the Next.js repository, so it's the same even for Express. It's just that you're writing in a different space. So in my proxy route in JSON, let's just create create_customer.js. And again, if you have my extension, so like this actually comes in with a lot of stuff, right? So I usually have it disabled, but you have this extension that gives you quick access to creating APIs, middlewares, everything that you need. Let's enable it. This has a clash with React snippets, I believe. Yeah. Let's disable this for this workspace. Okay. So all you have to do when the extension is enabled is write create API, and it writes you the entire API with all of the middlewares just like right there. So you don't actually have to do anything here. So we call it handler, and we can just like start writing our API. Oh wait, no, it's not supposed to be create this. I think it's, yeah, it's create proxy. My bad. This would have been a huge problem. Okay, so if it's not of say post, I want to reject it immediately. So let's return rest.status 401.send error. Just let's send an error. I do not want to do anything else. And even the same here, error true. Okay, so again, if you have the extension, just like quickly write it, and you're good to go to build your APIs and everything else you want to do. So here what I want to do is I want to accept it in the body, which is the customer's email, and I want to create a new customer account. Wait, is that available? I actually haven't checked if this is available. I should have probably checked it. This would be one of the mutations. So the way I prefer working with GraphQL is using the graphical interface. So if you don't know what this is, you can just head over to shopify.dev/graphical/, and let me just actually quickly post it. Okay. So what's happening here is you can just quickly create your own queries and mutations without actually having to write them. And there's a lot of autofill also available, so you don't really have to do anything. Create user, create customer. Okay, create customer in Shopify GraphQL endpoint. Customer create. Okay. So customer create, and the moment you kind of write it, you immediately have on the side all of the inputs that you need to kind of run this query. So let's head over here. We know email is something that we would need. And I think this should be it. So let's just kind of set up with Gmail. I would prefer just getting the email and ID back so I can work with it. So I don't think if we can create it. Yeah. So I need write customers access. So again, the good thing about this is it actually tells you, okay, hey, you need these available to you. So let's head over back to env, read customers and write customers. You don't have to run read when you have the right permissions, purely because it's like if you have write permissions, you immediately get read permissions too. So let's head back to our store. Now another thing is I have Shopify's graphical app also installed. So what I would usually do is I would pull in all of the mutations from over here. So I need to run this query and I know it's working fine, and the only issue is the access is denied because of scoping issues. I would open up the Shopify's graphical app and I would just paste the query and run it. Oh God, what's happening? Okay. So now when we run it, we immediately have a null issue. Okay, let's see what is required. So customer create. Oh, there's like a lot of things that's required that I just blatantly ignored. Okay, so let's head back here. Let's just actually add in some details. Here, let's do that. This is a note. Tax exempt. Sure, I think this should be enough. Let's run this. I still have a null, but is it creating a customer? I think it did create one. Okay, let's actually try out with a random email or something that doesn't exist. So this would be example. Because maybe, okay, yeah, now it's creating. But where is it? Okay, wait, anonymous customer. Okay, no, this is still not the one. Okay, wait, I actually did add my name, I forgot. Okay, example@gmail.com. So now that we know that this is working, let's actually copy this in. I'm not like writing code in a very haphazard way, so let's just not talk about this right now. Mutation, and let's just kind of throw this in. Okay, no. Let's just throw this in here for a second because I just want to like run a query right now. Now, the problem here is if I try to pull client from my client provider here, GraphQL client, recres is online, say false, this would break, mostly because if we are using the baseline GraphQL thing, the GraphQL client provider, it just won't work because in app proxy, you don't have all the variables you actually need. Like that's like the easiest way to explain this. So the way you kind of build one here is you first get the session ID directly. Would be await Shopify dot. Okay, I need to import Shopify. Okay, session ID is await Shopify dot session dot get offline ID. Now, when you're in the app proxy, you have shop always available at it's on shop equals rec dot no, it's rec dot shop is how I pass it here. So if we head over to verify proxy, you would see that oh yeah, actually I'm not passing it here. So essentially what's happening is because of the way how middlewares work, I can get a variable here and pass it on to the next function without like And the scope of that is just this function that we are running, right? So it's just this query. So I can just run rec.user_shop equals rec.query.shop, because the proxy verification wouldn't work if shop isn't available in query, because of how it creates your this thing HMAC and validates it. So before we run on to next, we can just pass it like this, which means that when I come over here and I pass it here, now I have access to the shop variable from request.userShop. So I can just run shop. Actually, do I have to pass it as an object? No. Okay. And wait, why is, okay, yeah, I don't need a wait here. So now that I have my session ID, I can load up a session. So that would be const session equals session handler dot load session, and I need the session ID. So now what I've done is I've loaded an offline session. You should not work with online session, at least that's what my recommendation is, if you're running most of the queries, because what could end up happening sometimes is, and I've seen this happen a lot, if a user is an external collaborator or just staff and they don't have access to, say, products, and if you're using online tokens to show a bunch of products in your app, it just breaks. And this is something that I've seen a lot, so I just prefer using offline sessions wherever I can. So if it's not being handled immediately, just run on offline sessions. So now my session is loaded here. All I want to do is just console log this session. I really don't want to mess around too much on this. Now I want to reauth, but again, I'm going to take the opportunity to kind of show off something here. You know your auth is working properly when you head over to sessions and you delete your sessions. So right now we have the active stores available, which is true, but your sessions are empty. So what now ends up happening is if I open the app, I can still go about things just fine, but the moment I make a request to my backend, it needs to quickly check if the session exists and if it's valid, and if not, go through the auth process real quick. So the moment I click on explore, it's going to load. It's going to be like, hey, we have an issue, and it's going to now go through. Now what's happening is we want the read and write customers again, because we didn't ask for it the last time. So now it's just going to go through and be like, okay, hey, you need to update this. So we update this unlisted app, and now we have the right permissions to go through. So if I reload, now you have the online and offline sessions both. So if you want to put your auth to test, this is how I personally like to do it, because this means that if your online session has expired, it needs to run through the auth process again. So this is like a really good way to check if everything's working fine on your end. Now, because this is an app proxy route, we also need to set up the app proxies. The way you set up app proxies is also listed in the setup, so you don't really have to go around searching how to figure that out. So all you need to do is head over to your app setup. Let's open that app. Okay, we head over to app setup, scroll down, and it's listed as express proxy, but let's just call it next proxy right now. And proxy route stays the same. It actually should be API proxy, right? So proxy route, Oh wow, okay, I just realized that I am doing a mistake with my documentation. I need to update this. This should be /API/proxy. So I need to update the repository with that. But okay, so essentially what we are doing here is if we have a request at store name or storeurl.com/apps/nextproxy, what Shopify is going to do is it's going to redirect that request to this URL. And that's how app proxies actually work. I've seen a lot of confusion when this is happening. And a quick way to check this is because we haven't deleted the JSON, so you're looking for content proxy be working here. So let's actually test it out if it's working as expected. So I'm gonna enter the URL, test store, next proxy, and JSON, and it's not working. I think I've made a mistake somewhere. Okay, let's see. We have no arrows. That's new. Apps next proxy JSON. API underscore proxy route. Means that slash JSON, it should work. Debugging. Okay, let's console log this. Proxy hit. And in verify proxy, the moment we get this, I also want to log this, be like checking proxy. So I can at least catch where we are going wrong. Okay, so what could also happen is maybe I have another app with a clashing name. And now this is an issue that we'll run into like a lot in production if you don't know what you're up to. So this is one of the reasons why you should have your, where is apps? Okay, so this is one of the reasons why your app proxy URL needs to be like very good and like as, okay, see, so it still hasn't updated it, right? So if I now run it via Express proxy, because now this is already installed, this is 404 because it's not supposed to be found. Okay, wait, hold on. Where did that go? Okay, keep this. But now if I run it on /JSON, it works. So Shopify is weird sometimes, right? This is one of those catches. So again, like I could quickly debug this because I've run through these issues a lot. Which is one of the reasons why you have to be very careful when you set anything up. Now, if I customize this and make it next, we are back to where we want to be. Now, again, the problem is your merchant can actually modify this. So your functionality could break. So sometimes you just want to quickly run a check that, hey, if I'm getting a 404 or a non-200 or a non-300 status, I want to just quickly drop an email to the merchant, be like, hey, have you changed the proxy URL? Because if the merchant changes it, it's done. Another issue that you commonly run into with proxy URLs is if you install another app with the same proxy URL, it's gonna make it like /1. This causes so many issues. So it's like, if you're running a proxy URL, please make sure that it is something extremely long and unique, so no one else could think of it. What I prefer to do is I put in the company's name / the app name /proxy. Sorry, hyphens, not slashes. So that way it makes it a long enough URL that it is very unique. So now that we've changed it to next proxy, I'm just going to quickly run the check. Next proxy. So it's working as I expect it to work. We can remove the console logs because now we know it's working. Create customer. Okay, so I'm just gonna make it get really quick because I just want to not create a new extension. So it's create underscore customer. The moment I do this, oh yeah, I need to await this. That's my bad. Create customer still does that. Okay. So let's call it customer working. All right. So let's refresh. Now I have my token, right? So we need to be very sure that we are actually getting the right ones, which is why we're console logging it here. If I were to directly use my client provider, so that's const client equals await client provider.graphql client request is online false. What all do I, okay, let's also pull out the shop and the session because I throw all of these things, and let's do that. Oops. So now in console log the session, this would throw an error because in your proxies you don't get all of the content that's required, which is now here we run into an error because you just don't have like the authorization header, which is what Shopify API is complaining about here. So if you're creating an app proxy, like a client from app proxy, you have to kind of use this format. And I've been thinking recently I should probably just convert this into a client provider itself. So it would then become client provider dot proxy or app proxy dot GraphQL or REST. So it then just becomes easier to do this, right? So now what I want to do is let's just kind of hardcode things because I really want to answer this question properly. So here we'll keep it get. Let's make this, let's actually pull this mutation. Now here's the thing with my boilerplate, I have given an example for everything that you would actually need. So if you head over to get data and we are like, okay, here, I want to see how a GraphQL call is made. I just head over to API apps debug GQL, right? So let's head over to API apps debug GQL. And you have an example here available, right? So all you have to do is see like, okay, this is how this is done. So let's pull this, create customer. So that's const client equals, oh no, we already created, oh yeah, wait, sorry, we haven't created a client yet. Wait, Shopify dot clients dot GraphQL. This requires a session. So now we have passed the session and now we just get the data. So const, let's just say create customer equals await client dot query. Let's go back. I need to pass data and this then comes here. Oops. Right. So if you were to do it like properly, you would make it a post request, get the content or like whatever email you're getting from your pop-up and throw it in over here. But here we are doing app proxy email. Let's make it a little more obvious. So let's call it app proxy name and last name. And in notes, let's add in, this is coming from app proxy. So now I'm running a GraphQL query from my app proxy, right? I can return this, but I am a little scared that this would be a big JSON. But okay, let's still return it anyways, right? If not, let's just catch it and throw in error and console log it right here itself. What we can also do is just like return it here. I wouldn't recommend it. I usually just response with error is true. So when I'm then checking, I could just be like if response dot error, do something and return. But then again, you know, like everyone has their own patterns. This is just how I do it. So essentially what's going to be happening here is the moment I refresh, it's going to create a new customer with the email app proxy email and this and that is the last and first name and with a note, right? So let's refresh this and we have an error. Okay, let's see what error is it. Cannot be invoked without new. Okay. So I think this is new and not await. Again, whenever you are in doubt, just head to client provider. It is new shopify.clients.graphql, which is where I did a mistake. Okay, now this time it will actually work. Refresh, and you have a create customer JSON, right? Let's see. So this wasn't an error, which means that when I head over back to my store, where is it? Okay. App proxy name, last name with the right email. And wait, where is my notes? Okay. This is coming from app proxy. So it's pretty straightforward. The only problem with this, I believe, is most people can't figure out how to run a GraphQL query from the app proxy. I feel like the moment you have that figured out, you can just quickly run your things, run your queries, and get out with it. So yeah, I feel like this answers this question really well. So I don't know if you're here, Aditya, but like, yeah, I hope this answers your question. Just like, please let me know if that's actually the thing. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. How you might manage changes once an app is live. Like, do you make two different partner apps and point one repo to both and switch? This is a problem with Shopify because it's like, I wish I could have a different staging URL and a different development URL and a different production. But then again, at the same time, for the sake of simplicity, I understand why it is the way it is. So over here, like if in app setup, I could just be like, hey, maybe this is a dev thing or maybe this is a live thing. What essentially you have to do is create two different apps. Like I have this test app. What I usually would do is I would create an app, say for example, email creator, and I would have another app as email creator proxy or email creator dev. Now, when you come over to creating your repos, this is what I do. Again, different people, different approaches. I would create one repo and I would create a fork of that as a separate repo. So the forked repo is my staging and the actual repo is the main. Sometimes it's different branches, but really depends on how you want to go about it. So then what's going to happen is as you make changes to your staging, you can then pull it up to the main repo, or you could just merge your branches. There is no other way that I know of. But yeah, like if you know of a better way, I'd actually love to hear it, because this is a problem that even I have with all of these things. So yeah, like there's that. So I hope that answers your question too. This is Will, by the way. I know, like, I feel like I interact with almost everyone a lot, so that's there. Okay, let's come on to second set of questions. So this is Sam from Discount Kit. If you're a merchant watching this, highly recommend Optizio's app. Wait, what? Where is it? Discount Kit, there it is. So this is Sam from Discount Kit from Optizio. So like, if you're a merchant, I would highly recommend giving it a try. Really great app. And also Sam is one of those people who jumps on newer things very quickly, I feel like, because they're using Shopify functions and he knows about Shopify functions a lot. So yeah. So question one, should you use JavaScript or TypeScript? So I know, like, obviously it's a troll, but then one of the reasons why I do not do TypeScript, like I'm really good with TypeScript, or at least good enough. But one of the reasons why I don't do TypeScript is because I don't want to be an engineer when I'm building apps. I want to ship things out. And usually the problem with me is I would spend so much time writing types in interfaces, I would just forget that there is an app to ship. With JavaScript, I don't have to worry about those things. I can write whatever I want, ship it, see if it works, and then go back and fix things. So like, let's actually dive a little more into this, because I feel like a lot of people don't get it why I'm like, hey, JavaScript, not TypeScript. So if I were to make a line, right, and it could be like, how would I define this? Let's actually make this double XL so it's actually seen. Okay, so here is a simple line. Like, on one end is an entrepreneur and one end is the engineer. The difference between the both, now again, all of these are the way I look at things. You could be looking at things in a very different way, and I would love to discuss all of these things, right? So if you're someone like me, where you are like both, where you understand business and marketing really well, and you're an engineer too, you are kind of in this midpoint where it's just like, do I focus more on engineering or do I focus more on entrepreneurship, right? But then you always have to remind yourself that while being an engineer is great, your job is to actually ship, right? Because here I would actually worry about, say, code quality, uh, reliability. I would also think about like letting, making sure tests are passing. Like I literally don't write any tests unless it's absolutely necessary. As an entrepreneur, I'm more worried about shipping products because that's what drives revenue and that's what gets me the revenue. Uh, and I want to do them quick, right? So speed really matters here. Another thing that I would actually worry about is revenue. So here's the thing, right? I have seen when I'm in my engineering mode, I do not worry about my revenue at all. I'm just like, I want to build it in a way where it works. So when you're someone like me who's like perfectly in the middle of it, I believe perfectly in the middle, you're more worried about shipping. And so you instantly take a look at it and you're like, okay, hey, maybe I do not want to be an engineer right now by focusing a lot on the baseline code quality and reliability too much, right? Even right now, I worry about those things, but I'm like, okay, it's stable enough. It passes some tests that I wrote, ship it. Because shipping products and features is what's driving revenue, right? And like more and more people are getting into the Shopify app space. So it's like, if you're not quick, you are possibly losing out a lot. So this is where the whole, I'm like, hey, don't use AWS, or I should not don't use. And I'm like, I don't like AWS and GCP, or I do not like TypeScript on a lot of these things, is because I want to ship things as quickly as possible while having some baselines about, okay, hey, like as an engineer, still worried about code quality, but like it works. So I'm just like, don't worry about it, just ship it, right? And I know a lot of people would not agree with this approach, but over the last 6 years, I have personally contributed to or built over 50 apps on the App Store, right? That's as an agency. So it's like working with merchants and their custom apps are completely separate, but like public apps, I've contributed to over like at least 50 of them in the last 6 years. So, and all of that, like this approach is coming from all of that. And again, this is how I've seen the people, right? So people who I hire as engineers, they're worried about, say, code quality and reliability. But like, if I'm working with a co-founder, they're like, hey, how quickly can we build this? So, uh, it's like when you kind of zoom out and you've been doing this for a good while, you're like, okay, hey, I can see this. That is why the opinion comes in of, I do not like TypeScript. And it's fine if you like TypeScript, it's fine if you, uh, do all of these things. But yeah, like this is how I do it. The second is patterns around managing free trials and return customers. I don't understand this question. Sam, if you're here, just please like let me know what this actually is. I probably should have asked you earlier, but yeah. Question 8, patterns around usage-based charging, per action versus per day versus per month. Here is the thing. I feel like uh, everything has its own place. So what I would do in this case is, of course, like almost every single app starts out as a base subscription, but I feel like there's a few areas, like if you're running SMS and emails, that's a good place to do usage-based charging. What I do not understand with a lot of SaaS applications, not just on the Shopify App Store, but in general, is when they start taking a percentage of your revenue. Like as an app developer, that's a great source of revenue for me because as the merchant is growing, I am making more money with them. But as a merchant, it's a very difficult decision to make because I already have a lot of other operating costs and then there's like additional costs that scale. So I feel like at the end of the day, you have to see what you're building and then figure out, what the pricing structure should be. Like, I hate saying this, but like, it depends. I hate that word. But yeah, like in this case, it's just like without a lot of context, it just doesn't make sense to me. Right? So yeah, like that's about it on this. But again, like coming back to this, because I love talking about this. Uh, let's say if I make a graph on like what changes a lot, or like what programming language to use, because I feel like everyone just keeps searching for this question. Oh god, can I just, thank you. So if I do this, right? So 7, okay. So again, the way I would explain this graph is, oh, okay, that's weird. I'm just trying to write. So changes a lot. Actually, no. Time. Oh no, wait. How would I describe it? I think I would put time here, and I would be like change frequency. Right. So essentially, what happens is, I prefer 3 languages. One is JavaScript, of course. The other is Golang. And the third one, which is like C++, or for a lot of people, Rust, right? So as time goes by, so if something changes a lot, I would do it with JS. Because like, quick to write, I can quickly iterate over things and stuff. I'm not too worried about stability because I'm still in the MVP stage. Oh wait, I just realized I should be doing it this way. Yeah. If something doesn't change a lot, but I want like a good sense of stability, and this coming from a lot of backend, Golang, and of course, something that doesn't change a lot over time, I would use it on C++ and Rust. Right now, whatever I build is in this area. Like, I do not cross this line where I would even think about going into Golang and being like, okay, hey, maybe I should consider writing backends in Golang just yet. As far as I'm concerned, when building Shopify apps, JavaScript does just great, right? And that's why it's part of my stack. Because, like, sure, I can go with Rust and I can write huge boilerplates and, cater to the Rust fanboys and the C++ fanboys. But the thing is, I'm usually looking at what's practical, because I feel like in this space, we are so worried about, oh, hey, this new framework came out, or hey, Shopify just acquired Remix, I should probably switch over to Remix now because everything's going to be Remix. It's like these changes are not going to happen overnight. People are like, React is dead, or like a bajillion of these things. At the end of the day, you kind of need to figure out what works well for you, because with me, like, if you ask me, I'm like, this stack works really well. Recently, I've become a huge fan of PlanetScale and Vercel with Next.js and Prisma, and that works wonders for me. Like, I can go from an idea to an MVP in like a day. So yeah, like, I know a lot of people hate me for this when I say, oh, hey, don't use AWS and GCP and a lot of these things, like focus on Vercel and Cloudflare and stuff. But yeah, for me, it's purely about how quickly I can go from A to B. Like, that's all that matters to me, because again, I have to run this balance, and with so many new people now kicking into the ecosystem, you're just like, okay, hey, if I don't iterate quickly, I am gonna lose out on a lot of stuff. So there's also that anxiety that kicks in. So yeah. So again, from the YouTube chat, Priyanshu asks, can you tell the roadmap on how to become a Shopify app developer? It's like, okay, let's do this quickly. How to become a Shopify app developer. Yeah. I want to talk about this like so much in depth. I don't know if we have enough time to do this, but okay. Now, number 1, choose your stack. You could go with Express and React. Again, like, I'm talking about what I have done. You can go with Next.js with Prisma, MongoDB. Like again, I have boilerplates on those, so I usually talk about this. You can go with, say, a custom Next.js plus Express installation with like whatever DB. So it's like, again, like whatever you want to do, first be very clear that, okay, hey, this is what my stack is, right? So, and here's the thing, this is very important. Get good at your stack. Okay, I'm not trying to shame anyone here, but let me actually show you the kind of stuff I get sometimes. And like, it's really hard to work with some people because I'm like, you need to go back and learn your stack. Oops. Okay, so let's actually take a look at this issue, right? So I helped them out with the last one. Please don't send any hate towards them because it's just like a genuine issue, right? I've done this mistake when I was starting out too, so that's fine. So they're like, hey, find one and update just isn't working. And I'm like, okay, hey, you have the thing, like the code that I wrote seems to be working. Your model is created properly. And then I come to this. They were trying to run mongoose on React. I feel like anyone who's like done enough tutorials, like not even at that thing, like enough tutorials, understands that you should not be interfacing with Mongo or with Prisma or anything else from browser side. It's like things like these really piss me off because I'm just like, how do I explain this to you, right? So it's really important to get good at your stack. And a lot of people will tell you, hey, this stack is not good, do this, do that. Figure out your stack and get good at it. Number 3, pick up a boilerplate. Or boilerplate, starting app. So this could be the CLI 3, this could be any of my boilerplate apps. Or anyone else's, it's fine. Just like pick that up and study it. So what you're essentially studying is you take boilerplate on one end and you open up the auth, you head over to Shopify.dev. Okay, and this is generally how I started, right? So let's open up the menu. You head over to the apps documentation and you actually follow these tutorials. Shopify.dev has a lot of things done. Like, it's a great resource. Like, of course, things can be much better. If any Shopify people are watching, can we please have offline documentation? Because I would love to be able to refer it quickly. Someone who does it really well is how Xcode works. It's like all of the documentation is available right there. And I have been an iOS developer in the past, so it's just like referring to that is really great. So anyways, pick up this boilerplate, learn how it works, and then search for a boilerplate that you prefer. I realized over the years, I do not want to be reliant on anyone else, and I want to create my own boilerplates, which is why I created all of my projects. So if you head over to github.com/king, again, the links are in the description, you're going to find these 2 boilerplates. One is with Express and MongoDB. This also uses React and Vite. This is the oldest stack Shopify used to use officially or in the like starter template, and this is with Next.js and Prisma. This is what like I really love. Actually, wait, no, this is the stack that they use currently, sorry. And Next.js and Prisma is something that I really love. It also comes with one-click deploy and a VS Code extension that I was using earlier. So yeah, like that's the thing. So pick up a boilerplate, learn it, see end to end, be like, okay, hey, this is how it's working. If you're following a boilerplate that is well maintained, you do not have to worry about OAuth and all of these other things, right? And here's the thing. I know I have talked bad about them in the past, but I feel like the last 2 weeks I've really spent a lot of time with them. If you're a front-end developer, gadget.dev, okay? will run through gadget.dev at some point in the future, but here is the thing. I have called gadget glorified boilerplate, and I was like, why are you funded? Like, it doesn't make sense. But the more and more time I've spent with gadget, I've understood that, okay, hey, there's that one thing, like one good problem that they solve. And I'm like, okay, if you are a front-end engineer who's like, I do not want to worry about backend, I do not want to worry about OAuth, I just want to do a few clicks, write my React and call it a day, just hop on gadget. Their initial learning curve is very high, but if you're patient enough to understand a lot of these things, you're good to go. Sorry. So that's there, right? So once you've picked up your boilerplate and everything else, this is what I tell everyone to do. Learn Shopify. Now, how do you learn Shopify? Create an app and register all webhooks. Let's actually do this. First, let me talk about this, then let me actually run it through so you will have a better understanding of why you should be doing this. The moment you create a dummy app and you register all of the webhooks and you start doing things in your store, you start to understand what webhooks are fired at what event. This gives you a good idea of, let's say if I'm creating a discounting app, I want to see what chain of webhooks are being called and what information can I pull out of them. So let's actually register this, right? So go to shopify.js. So it's going to be like Shopify webhook topics. That's, I think it's webhook subscription topic. I'm quickly gonna get to the page where they have, okay, this is where all of this is listed. Okay, this could actually take a second, .txt. So we have this. Okay, so what I can do here is the webhook topic and then run this. So this should get all of that stuff. Yep, and I can replace this with nothing. So this gives me that. Okay. Now if I run the same thing on value, this should catch all of that and make me, okay, so we have this working. Hello streaming, so hey, thanks so much for dropping by, Liam. Thanks so much. Okay, so we're quickly creating an object on this. Okay, yeah. And now I want to pick up /n and I want to replace that with a comma. Yep, this brings it in the same line. And now if I search for comma, 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 what I can do is I can get come back to my text file and replace this with this would be fun. Let's replace this. Let's call it webhook underscore topic because this is what I'm going to need in a second. And in my callback, I just want them to go like, okay, hey, let's play with topic here, console.log topic, right? And then now when I replace it, I have my entire object. Oh, okay, wait. Double commas need to be replaced with a single comma. Yeah, I think, okay, no, wait, we still have to, let's make it a JS file now so I can actually see this. Const topics equals this. So this is like some quick regex to get this done. And now what I want to do, what do I want to do? How do I figure out what that is? Okay, so if I replace this, actually, you know what? It's fine because it's gonna like fire this thing. Yeah, gadget. Yeah. Okay, so now that I have this topic list, I can paste this here. Like, I feel like everyone who knows regex is like, oh, you can do it this way, but like, yeah. Now we are registering every single webhook. We need to delete app uninstall because we already have access to this. Right. So now that this is done, I also want to register all of the scopes that I would need. So this would be Shopify API scopes. This would be access scopes, and we'll run through this again. Okay. Let's head back here. Now we're going to be doing some more regex. Okay. This is going to be so difficult. There's not a single pattern that I can figure out. Okay, but we can kind of type it in manually. So let's head over back to the env. Actually, I think I should have a repository that had all of the... Oh yeah, okay, cool. I have it there, never mind. Env example. Copy this. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I have registered all of the webhooks, and now I am getting up all of the API scopes. I expect some breakage to happen because I'm pretty sure I'm not allowed to subscribe to some of the webhooks, but you know, we'll see. Anyway, so restart the server, get back to this, open up Safari. I can't type. Oh wait, I'm already in Safari. Okay. What else can we close? Let's not have too many of these tabs open. This, we went through this too. This, okay. So now when I'm running auth again, it's going to be like, hey, I want to register like a bajillion webhooks. I'm expecting some breakages to happen, but that's fine. And it's going to take a second because we are streaming and we're doing this on the same thing. Let's see how long it actually takes to run this. Oh wow, it's really taking a second. Okay, anyways, you know what I'll do? I'll just convert this into a video because this is taking like way longer than what I'm willing to kind of sit down for. So, so much of this time spent, but it's fine. We can just ignore and discard all the changes here. Can be deleted. Okay. So, oh wow, now it just does it. Okay, great. That was cool. That was really cool. Okay, so we can actually kind of check it out after all. Okay, let's quickly fix this. Okay, thank God you are back again. This was untracked. So now all of this would be available. Okay, so I'm hoping it works. If it doesn't, I'll be like fairly disappointed. Anyway, so now that we have access to like a bajillion different webhooks, let's just create a new order, right? So let's browse popular products, add these, anonymous customer, right? So now the moment I save this, Phone's invalid. Huh. Would it not allow me to save? Actually, wait, let's just change the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and let's call it Harshdeep at harshdeep.com, I guess. Done. Let's save this. Okay, so now you see the moment I've updated it, we saw like a process draft orders create and a customer's update. So essentially what's happening is when you create an app like this, you can kind of go around, update product inventory, create new products, create new location. Let's just create a quick product. So let's call it example product, example t-shirt sleeve. Let's Shopify answer with organic cotton, auto write. Let it do its thing. So the product's active. Can we push out a picture? Let's just put out this random picture. Price is at 100. We're charging tax, and we save this. So now what's going to happen is we're going to process that webhook, and you see this, right? You have products create, you have inventory items create, inventory levels connect, and products update. Inventory levels connect was running twice because we have two inventory locations. So when you're learning Shopify, this is like a great thing to do because you can then go through like, okay, hey, I want to make updates with my inventory when it heads over here, or I want to make a new product only when inventory levels connect is fired, right? So this is one really good way. Learn Shopify as a platform. So one is you create this, you create a huge app, you register all the webhooks, and you go about it then, right? B, mimic or like copy an existing app, right? So what's going to happen is you can head over to the App Store, see what actually works. Could be a simple discounting app. Take that, see how you can build it. But do not just copy for the sake of copying. Like, okay, hey, let's do one-to-one copy and push it. Please like build your own things. That's there. And now while you're copying this app, you want to go through Polaris's documentation and patterns. This is one thing that even I ignored for a very long time. So when you head over to Polaris, you can see all of this stuff. Like, we usually head over to icons and components, but there is this beautiful thing called patterns. So in patterns, you can kind of come over and see how you're supposed to build screens. This is really important. And again, like you have like beautiful examples here too. So if we kind of zoom out, that's okay. Yeah, so you have these patterns built for you, and you can just, copy the code, modify it to work on your thing, and immediately start building. They have all the information on like why you should be doing certain things, how to group things, how to arrange, with date picking and with settings. So most of your layouts are actually done already for you in a certain sense, right? So that's done. And now when all of this is done, you then learn how to ship. This is so, like, a lot of people hate me when I say this, but like, we are usually so worried about, okay, hey, I just want to like engineer something and keep on engineering it. You want to set a deadline on, this is the first feature set that I'm going to push out, and I'm going to see how it works, right? This is so important because I know certain developers, and I've done this at 1.2. We've spent like a year, 2 years, 3 years building an app, and I'm like, okay, I was building that, like, someone else pushes out the same app, and you're just like, okay, I should have pushed it out earlier. So you need to ship quick, right? Learn how to ship quick. I feel like from 6th, it's just like, I don't know, and 7th is like profit. Like this is like, yeah, like that's about it. I think 6th would be find margins to work with. Yeah. And seventh would be build applications that fix their problems. And eighth would be profit. I feel like that's about it. So, because here's the thing, right? As someone who is building e-commerce applications, you need to understand that every single thing that you do, directly or indirectly, you are impacting your merchant's ability to put food on the table. So, for example, if your discounting app doesn't work as it's supposed to, what you have done now is you have messed up product pricing for a merchant, and now this merchant can probably have to go through like $1 bajillion in losses because your app didn't work out well. So this is one of the reasons why I'm like, listen, first get good at your stack, first learn how these things work before you go out and build an application, simply because of the fact that everything that you do directly or indirectly impacts your merchant's ability to put food on the table. So the moment you have that concept completely cleared out, you are just good to go. So that's about it, honestly. Like, there's nothing more to it. There's like all of these other issues that I see a lot of other people doing, and I'm just like, yeah, let's just not get into it. But as long as you're doing these basic things, you're pretty much good to go. So yeah, I think it's like already 11:36 for me. That's quite a lot of time spent streaming. Yeah, so now another thing is I'm also working on a Shopify app development course, and there's like a lot of new content that's coming in, and I'm hoping to live stream at least once a week. So that makes things, great, because I can then just like hop on here, talk about things, and people can watch it whenever you feel like. Anyways, you can follow me on Twitter to be updated and stuff, all of that influencer thing, like, subscribe. I don't know how to do that. Yeah, so it's like, I'm hoping I can do this more often. You can subscribe here. I also have a newsletter that goes out once a month, so that's like not very spammy. I've had only like 2 editions out of that. And yeah, that's about it. So I guess that's it for today. We will be hopping on things soon enough, I guess. So yeah. Right, take care.